Hello, everybody, and welcome to the July 2nd, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. Anyway, so over the weekend, this happened, I think I saw this just after I finished recording the last show. There was the Families Belong Together March. It is the march against the separation of parents from their children by the Immigration Customs Enforcement, aka ICE. Which is odd because the president reversed that policy. That's no longer happening. He reversed about a week ago. Coincidentally, by the way, just a day, no, it was the same day I published the No Sympathy for Illegals article. I would make a joke like, maybe I'm part of the media that has influence over the president, but then I'd just make myself sad. But anyway, there was an entire march for an issue that's already been solved, and if you want my opinion, in this case they don't, because may I remind you, illegal immigrants is right there in the name. They're criminals. They are criminals. If you said that about, I think I just tweeted, if you said this about any other crime, say you said this about, meth addicts, or, rapists, or something, or anything else, you would look insane. But what do I know? Huffington Post made a compilation of some of the best signs. So I figured we'll just read some of them now. One of them is, of course, somebody saying just to abolish ICE. Which, as if immigration is something we just shouldn't enforce. That's ICE's entire purpose. I think they do a pretty good job at it. Separating families is cruel torture, and I could just imagine Gina Haspel looking at that sign and going, "You think that's torture? I'll show you what real torture is." If we actually, start double waterboarding or anything, I'm blaming that protester. It's your fault. There's Make America Humane Again. This is really what would make us inhumane. Maybe in the mind of someone who actually looks at politics, it would be when we invaded a sovereign nation like Iraq and, killed, I think it was a bare minimum of 200,000 civilians, long after we knew that Saddam Hussein didn't have WMDs, by the way, before anyone says, "Oh, well, we just made a mistake." Yeah, when you find it out, you pull out immediately. And while we were doing that, we did tons of torture of innocent people, and I don't mean that, I mean literally waterboarding people and anal feeding, which doctors have declared isn't a thing. It's essentially just a nice way of saying rape. That's not what made us inhumane. Enforcing immigration laws is what made us inhumane. Give me a break. And and this is another example. This woman is what I like to call a junk food progressive. She probably, if she gets any news, she gets it from Occupy Democrats or Vice or MSNBC or the editorial section of the New York Times. Things like that. Here's another one. No one is illegal on stolen land. Actually, if come over here. If the land is stolen, that makes everyone illegal. You idiot. But for that matter, I just kind of want to point out, if we aren't supposed to have borders, which these people seem to want, then Europeans could have never taken Native American land. Because no one owns the land. There are no borders, mind you. It's just a massive land. A lot of these aren't even making substantive points, by the way. Some of them are families belong together, except this one that shows Donald, Ivanka, Jared, Jr. and Eric. Just that's not a substantive point, but okay. Here's another one. It's someone holding up the Statue of Liberty and says, "Excuse me, mother," and then it has F, 3 letters censored. They like put a document over it, ER. The Statue of Liberty was not an American-made statue, by the way. It was made in France. Just saying. I think that needs to be pointed out. And the poetry on the side of it, by the way, is just that, poetry. You know, it's never been an official legal document. It's a great monument, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying otherwise. I'm just saying we kind of have this more important document. It's called the Constitution. In fact, I can give you a series of more important documents. Most notably are many bills passed by elected representatives, several of which have to do with immigration, specifically making it clear that immigration, in some cases, can be done illegally. And yeah, it's not the same with every country. We used to have a policy with Cuba, which was literally just make one step on American land, you're a citizen. It wasn't even that. Get 1 foot on American land, you're a citizen. We'll pull you in the rest of the way. But that was because Cuba was a dictatorship ran by Castro, who hated the U.S. And, well, there was no way to get the paperwork and do all that legally. And I'd be fine if you wanted to argue, in some cases, have that policy. But then, mind you, I think there was this thing under the Carter administration, I forget exactly what it was, but essentially people were let out of Cuban prisons, and some of them were just political opponents of Castro. Quite a few of them weren't, though. A lot of them were locked up for legitimate reasons, but they were just put on boats and the U.S. sent them, and Carter let them in. You know, things like that. Here's another one. Stop pretending your racism is patriotism. Stop pretending your hatred of a nation being sovereign is patriotism. Oh, by the way, I've written in the past that it sometimes feels like the late 2010s left is arguing against Donald Trump using the same quotes from someone like Rumsfeld or Cheney. This is what I mean by this. Is appeal to patriotism. When, again, they don't even want this nation to be sovereign. They want completely open borders. But, you know, it's like the North Korea situation. There was that comic. It was just Donald Trump standing on, like, all these skulls with Kim Jong-un. That comic might as well have just said, Mr. President, why aren't you fighting the axis of evil? That's about as seriously as I take it. But, yeah, read my articles on peace is a good thing and no sympathy for illegals if you want more detail on this sort of opposing Donald Trump in the same way I'd expect someone like Cheney or Rumsfeld to do. And those just come to mind because I'm reading. For that matter, if you want the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez special I was talking about, you can read the new article. It's over at ephromjosine.blogspot.com. It's called Have Socialists Take... Wait, no, it is the Democratic Party being taken over by socialists. I'm going to read you a little snippet right now. No. What do you mean that can't be the whole column? Okay, fine, I'll humor the idea. With the recent victory of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez over Joe Crowley, many think that socialism is taking over the Democratic Party. I guess we're supposed to forget every Democrat since FDR was president has been accused of being a socialist because this time it is true. Roosevelt will abolish capitalism. I mean Truman will abolish capitalism. I mean Kennedy will abolish capitalism. I mean Johnson will abolish capitalism. I mean Carter will abolish capitalism. I mean Clinton will abolish capitalism. I mean Obama will abolish capitalism. And they all benefit from capitalism as well. I can't be, I meant it can't be, that they don't actually want to abolish capitalism. They're just all hypocrites. But again, let's pretend this isn't just people who take Joseph McCarthy a little too seriously and actually analyze these claims. Sure, Nancy Pelosi denies it, but she's Nancy Pelosi. She's only one of the highest-ranked Democrats. What does she know? And the rest you can read at my blog. I figured I'm going to end this episode with something, because I know a lot of people will probably think, oh, he's not a liberal. He doesn't believe we should have open borders and actually likes a nation being sovereign, so random people in Saudi Arabia can't make laws in Nebraska. I know. I'm a little crazy like that. I'll I'll actually attack a conservative, which, as you know, I always do, but just in case it's someone's first episode. I've talked about Leela Rose before. If not, she's the founder of Live Action, which is, she claims to be a pro-life group. It's really just an anti-Planned Parenthood group. And she made up these completely nonsense reports about how Planned Parenthood is actually helping rapists. I still don't get how she came to that conclusion. Well, it turns out she's also a little bit of a homophobe. When it was revealed that Tom DeLay and Dustin Lance Black, Dustin Lance Black, I don't know why I suddenly had a southern accent there, Black, um, adopted a child, Leela tweeted this: "I grieve for this baby, that is, being purposely denied his mother or any mother. A woman's womb was rented by two men, and this little one was conceived in order to be raised without a mother. Headlines like these completely leave out this sad reality." The kid is being raised by an Olympic athlete and a filmmaker, both of which are worth millions. I think he'll survive. But for that matter, I remember I just tweeted in response to this, someone talking to Leland, it's like, you can prevent an abortion. Good. But the kid will be adopted by gay parents. And she just starts sweating intensely. And then some people called her a hypocrite because she supports adoption. Here's what she had to say: "This baby was conceived in a test tube when men brought a woman's egg and had it fused with one of their sperm and rented a woman's womb. This is the opposite of adoption, welcoming an already conceived child who is not yours biologically because his/her bio parents are unable to parent." I just want to point out this one thing. I hate this sort of fear, and the pro-life movement does this. The hippie GMO, anti-GMO crowd does this all the time, where it's like, oh, science, I'm scared, I'm gonna hide under my shirt, I'm scared of science and test tube babies and GMOs, and, I'll somewhat talk about this tomorrow. If sometime this week I talk about John Oliver's recent video, or recent segment on gene editing, I'll talk about this because I am pro gene editing. However, I'll say most after then. But anyway, that's it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.